Deliverability is the most important element of email marketing. That's because if your emails are going to spam, nobody is going to see them and your entire strategy won't matter. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the exact 4 tools that you need to use to improve your deliverability. And these tools are the exact same ones that we are using for multiple 7 and 8 figure brands that we manage. So let's get right into the first one. The first tool is Klaviyo itself. I mean, if you're using any other email sending software, then you need to switch to Klaviyo because it's the best one. And one important disclaimer, I'm not affiliated with any tools that I'm gonna mention in this video. So the first tool itself is once again gonna be Klaviyo. The first way of checking your deliverability is by clicking on campaigns on the left hand side and then selecting whatever campaign you want to. Right, you select it and then you go to deliverability and then you're gonna see what your open rates are per inbox service provider, which is quite important because you might be landing in the primary tab for Gmail, but for example for, I don't know, Hotmail or Outlook, you'd be going to spam. In this case, for this brand, as you can see, the open rates are pretty much above 50% for every single inbox service provider, which is great. So this is how you check your deliverability for campaigns as like the first tool that I recommend. But there's one more important tab right there, which is deliverability. If you go to analytics, if you scroll down and click on deliverability, this is what you're gonna see. In terms of score, it's very hard to get excellent because, I mean, you can see there's a bunch of factors that they are rating, and honestly, like, this brand has good deliverability. We've been struggling with it for some time, but we finally improved it. We got them out of spam pretty much like, you know, in the first week. But overall, as you can see, their stats are decent. The main one that could be improved is spam compliant, and that's true. It could be below 0.03. That would be ideal. But still, this is, you know, something that you can look at. You can see your average open rates, click rates, bounce rates, and so on. You can see your campaign's performance, which is doing, you know, okay, which ones need attention, which aren't doing the greatest, in terms of, for example, spam compliant or click rates or open rates or any other metric. The same is true for your flows. So if you scroll down a little bit, you're gonna see the open rate for flows, which ones are healthy, which ones need attention. So this is exactly how to check what's going on with your domain and your entire, you know, account essentially. And then you also have reports, which are gonna show you deliverability per inbox service provider as well. This is from the last 30 days, but for example, if we go to this month, where, you know, in this month, this brand's deliverability has improved quite a lot, then you can see that their open rates for all of the emails are actually looking quite nicely. You're also gonna see, you know, the amount of delivered and bounced emails, and then negative engagement rate metrics per inbox service provider as well. So that's also when you see some other like open rates, click rates, everything like that. This tool, I mean, directly from Klaviyo, is a really good one, just because it's showing you data directly from your Klaviyo account, straight up. So this was the first tool. Now the other tool is called Gmass, and essentially what it does is it allows you to test deliverability for multiple different Gmail inboxes. As you can see, they're all listed here, and what it does is it has like multiple Gmail accounts, like for example 10-year-old Gmail account, Google Workspace account, and, you know, like multiple other Gmail accounts. All of them are just rating your deliverability. So the way you run the test is actually quite simple. So you just go to your Klaviyo account, you go to your campaigns, you can select any campaign you want to. Right, you select it, you click on next, you click on edit. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on this, which is copy these addresses to clipboard. It's obviously gonna copy them. Then you click on preview email, send this email, you're gonna paste all of them, and then you're gonna hit preview now. It's gonna take a second, you know, for Klaviyo to send this preview. Okay, it seems like something is wrong, something goes off, so we're gonna do it again because I believe it was the error on the Klaviyo side. And then you should be able to see the results right there. You can either type the subject line, the sender's email address, or your brand's name. I'm gonna type in the brand's name, and as you can see, this is their deliverability for this email. It's gonna be primary inbox. It's sent 3 times because Klaviyo, you know, preview isn't showing it the right way, but essentially it's gonna show you like, okay, which inboxes, you know, are having what kind of deliverability. And overall, for like 90% of the inboxes, or even more than that, we hit primary inbox. We hit 1 case for updates and just 1 for promotions, which isn't terrible as well. But as you can see, everything else landed in the primary inbox, which is something that you want to. Now, before we get into the third tool, one more important thing is that you like this video and subscribe to my channel, because I'm gonna be dropping more valuable content. So if you wanna up your email marketing game, make sure that you subscribe and like the video. But speaking of the third tool, it's gonna be Google Postmaster Tools, which is something that Google developed as their own internal tool. And honestly, I recommend that you start using it, mainly because Klaviyo data might not be 100% accurate, but Google will always pretty much have you know, reliable data, so make sure that you install it. Adding it is actually quite simple. You just go to postmaster.google.com. You're gonna be able to add a domain. You click on this red button, you type in your domain, you're gonna go next, you're gonna need to add DNS record to your domain provider, and then you're gonna click on verify. And after you verify it, you should be able to see the data that we are seeing and you're seeing on the screen right now. This is one of the accounts that we manage. Once again, the most important metric probably is gonna be spam rate. Overall for Google, you don't want to exceed 0.3%. That's because Gmail itself allows 0.3% spam rate, just because like they also are aware that people are gonna mark emails as spam. But anything above that is gonna hurt your deliverability and domain's reputation. We also have some other data like IP reputation, in terms of what's going on with the IP itself. If it's high, then it's great. Then you have domain reputation as well. Once again, if it's high, then you have nothing to worry about. Feedback loop, which should also be, pretty much at 0% all of the time, right? I've honestly never seen it be anything else than 0%. So if that's the case for you, then you have to be worried about something about this metric. Now, authentication. So all of your, key DNS record, which is DKYM, SPF, and DMARC, it should be success rate 100% every single day. I've seen cases where it's been like 99.7% on some days, but these brands are usually fine as well, as long as, it's not a huge drop, and as long as it's like one-off thing. If it's an anomaly, then it's fine. If it's repeating, then you need to be worried. And these are the main things you should be looking at. You also have encryption and then delivery errors, but overall, these usually aren't looking too bad. Sometimes there will be delivery error because of the dropped emails, bounces, everything else. But overall, once again, if it's 0.2% or 0.1 or 0.3, you shouldn't be worried about it as long as it's an anomaly and as long as it's not consistent. If, for example, right there we saw the spam rate of 3%, and then on September 29th we see 1% and October 7th 2%, then something is wrong and we need to adjust the strategy. But in this case, across the last 30 days we had one spam rate complaint, and the spam rate for that day was 0.2%, which is fine. I mean, it's not ideal because you want it to be 0, but like it's impossible to have it at 0 if you are sending quite a lot of emails and having other of your flows. Now, last but not least is gonna be lockups, which is a great tool that once again you need to be using. If you've never used it, then you have to do it instantly. If you're using it on, for example, monthly basis, this is something I recommend. So if you're doing it like that, then you're good. But after you log into the tool, you want to click on Start Spam Test, Start Manual Test. I recommend you select all of these, honestly, since you're like still gonna be, if you're in the US, then obviously only the US domains will matter. If you're in Russia, then something else, and if in Germany, then these domains will matter. But I guess like for majority of the clients, 95% of our clients are from the US, so we're always looking at Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail, and so on. It's still mainly Gmail, which is responsible for like 80% of all emails delivered. As for this, you can also like add to folder or add a note, but honestly, I never do this. And then you click on create. If you've never uploaded your seed list, you need to download it, which is gonna be quite simple. You just click on download, and then let me just while we're in the campaign view, we can do it like that. So this is gonna be the ID string that you need to paste within your campaign. You copy it and you can paste it wherever. I just like to paste it at the very end of the email so that when I'm, deleting this or like sending it as an actual campaign, I will remember to delete it and I won't need to look for it for, an extended period of time. As you can see, it is at the very end of the email, but now we won't be sending it yet because we need to go to audience, list and segments, create new, create list. Then we're gonna call it Glockops test, and I also like to make it a date. So right now it's October 2024. Create list. You're gonna upload contacts, and you're gonna upload the exact same CSV file that you downloaded from this tool, from right here. You're gonna click on import. It's gonna take a second for the contacts to upload. As you can see, it's populating everything. It should be done soon, I believe. Yeah, it's imported right now, 110 members. So then you go just back to the campaign where you added the ID string, right, which is this one in this case. You can unselect all of your segments and exclusions, and you want to type in Glockops test. As you can see, we already had this list, but I just showed you how to do it from scratch, so you don't need to worry about anything or wonder how to do it. Then you click on next. Once again, click on the email to see the preview to make sure that you have the ID from the Google Glockops tool. Then you can close this and proceed. Click on next. Something is wrong with the right now it says no subscriber link, but it's gonna add it automatically to the email itself. I don't know why it's showing honestly 43 recipients. I think I'm gonna refresh and it's gonna become 110. It should at least. So Klaviyo sometimes does this, but overall they should send it to the entire segment of 110 people, mainly because these are like profiles that we've added anyways. So they should just send to the entire list. So once again, go back to your campaigns, select the campaign with the ID string, click on next once again, and then you can hit send now. You don't want to schedule it, you can just send right away, and the campaign is being sent. Of course it will take a few seconds or minutes on the Klaviyo end, right? It's scheduled to be sent right now. You can then click on view report in Glockups, and after some time you're gonna start seeing data. It might take a few minutes, sometimes even up to like 30, in order for us to see all of the emails that have received email boxes that received the email. It's not gonna be instant, but overall, once again, up to like 5 minutes you should be seeing results. Right now the campaign on the Klaviyo end is still scheduling and sending out, so it will take a second. Okay, so as you can see, the campaign has finally been sent, and like ignore this open, right? Of course it's been a test, so you don't need to worry about this. But then in the Glockup you're gonna see the results and everything that's going on, and when you see spam being so high, I wouldn't worry about it just now, mainly because you're still concerned about Gmail and not some domains that, for example, are mainly used in Germany or some other country. If you are from Germany or some other country and you're using these domains, or your customers are using them, then you need to be worried about it. But in general, if you're in the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, then you should be worried mainly about Gmail, and anything else is pretty much just, just a noise that you should ignore. So in terms of the IP reputation, it's going to show you blacklists, where it's also going to show you the sender score for your Klaviyo sending domain. And it says shared because it's reverse DNS, the actual brand has a custom sending domain. So that's important to know. And then it also is going to show you which specific IPs are landing in spam and which ones have block lists. Now, speaking of block lists, I don't want to say they are not important, but majority of the time, these block lists are not gonna be meaningful, because there are some block lists where pretty much 90% of brands are on them, but they don't have any impact on their deliverability. For example, there are some block lists which are solely for Finland users, and then if you would be, sending emails in Finland, they still wouldn't have that much impact, just because it's so popular and there are so many brands. Essentially, if you send like more than a few emails per week, then you most likely are on this block list. And I bet that if you run this test for you, you would have the same result. But there are some that are meaningful. If that's the case, if you find then like for example, these two aren't meaningful at all. But if you, for example, find your IPs landing in the block lists on HostKarma or any other block lists that are important, then you need to go through and delete them. And the process is quite simple. Usually you either submit your ID on the website, you do like a simple search, you look it up and then you delist it, or you reach out to this block list and ask them to be removed. Some block lists also are gonna remove you if, for example, for more than 24 hours, they won't get any spam complaints or anything like that. You're gonna be automatically removed. So we're gonna need to go through all of these manually, one by one, and then if there is any that's gonna affect your deliverability, you need to get rid of it. The simplest way to, check if your emails or if your block lists are meaningful or not is just Google it. Like Google the name of the block list, like for example this one. So you can select it, you can copy it, paste the name, and then does this have impact on deliverability? As you can see, do not panic. In 90% of all cases, removal is simple and like you can remove it, but also the Glockups itself is gonna tell you if it's important or not, essentially. That's like the most important thing. You can see like they're even asking if it impacts their deliverability. We have IP blacklist check, and like they have it, they have this tool. And once again, usually they're not gonna be that important, and usually you can get yourself removed from this quite quickly. Same goes for this one. Like this is also the one that is quite common. I'm seeing like a lot of brands having their sending or IP on this blacklist, but they aren't really affecting deliverability, especially as you saw with the with GMS, where we're landing in the primary tab, even though we're technically on how many blacklists? Sorry, on 12. So like they really don't have effect at all, I would say. Especially that if you scroll down, you're gonna see, domain block lists, which is something you should be worried about. Like if your domain is blocklisted and not your IP or reverse DNS, then in this case you should be concerned. For the KYM, it takes some time to check it out, but we already know, by looking at Postmaster tools, if it's looking fine, and it is looking fine, which is okay. Then you have Google spam filter, which is if it's showing you 0, not spam, then it's great. There's also Barracuda and Spam Assassin. In this case, Barracuda is at 0, Spam Assassin is at 0.4, which once again is highlighted as green, so nothing to worry about. Sometimes you'll have this thing where it's essentially gonna give you like negative points, but once again, nothing to be worried about, as long as your overall deliverability is good. So for Amazon work mail, then okay, like 50% of the emails are going to spam. I wouldn't say that's meaningful because I think this brand doesn't have even one subscriber that has, Amazon work email, and the most important ones are Gmail. So G Suite, Gmail Legacy, and Gmail Non-Interactive. These three are most important ones, and sometimes you're gonna see missing, which is mainly because like the emails are still being sent technically, and this tool is also gonna give you data after some time. It's not gonna populate everything instantly. So you need to be, be aware of that and check the results after, for example, 1 or 2 days after all of the emails are being sent out. So for G Suite, once again, we're landing in the primary tab for over 66% of the cases, which is 2 of the third emails because the third one is missing. For Gmail Legacy, and you can also click on the specific domain to see what's going on. But for Gmail Legacy, we're landing in the inboxes for over 90% of the cases, which is great. And as you can see, we're going into the primary tab, regardless of us being blacklisted. Like in this case, we even have 8 blacklists technically, but the sender score is 85, and we're still landing in the primary tab. We had one email that landed, or one inbox where our email had the promotions, and funnily enough, this IP has the highest sender score, and it still landed in promotions. But I wouldn't be, I wouldn't say that you need to be worried if you're landing in promotions for 6% of the cases. Sometimes even landing in like 10 or 20% of the cases isn't that bad. Generally, you just want to avoid spam for Gmail. And then you have also Gmail non-interactive, and that's the same scenario where essentially you're seeing that emails are going to the primary tab, even though you're on multiple blacklists. But you want to be going into the inbox, into the primary tab, especially for Gmail, and this should be your priority. Now, this was really it about the video. This is how I use these main tools to identify deliverability. And then if you really want to fix them, if you want to know what are the rules for setting up your custom sending domain, what are the best practices for avoiding spam filters, and how you should warm up the new sending domain to make sure that you never go to spam, go watch this video, which is a complete deliverability masterclass, and it's gonna show you everything you need to know about getting higher open rates and going into the primary tab.